Is it important that you're facing a certain direction in your ceremony or ritual? Not just that, but there's lots of different traditions in which you acknowledge the four cardinal directions. Is it important that you do this in your own practice? So, generally speaking, you don't have to do anything specifically, or you don't have to have all these correspondences regarding magic. But acknowledging the tradition, acknowledging why it is important or how it corresponds can help add another layer to your magic and help contribute to your overall success. My name is Ten, and in my own practice, I do acknowledge the four quarters before and after my ritual in my own personal way. And it is more based on elemental correspondences. So, what is the logic behind all of this? Why are there certain associations with different directions? From a Western ceremonial perspective, the directions have more to do with the sun's relationship with the earth. So I want you to think about it literally and then also figuratively. Consider that the sun rises in the east, it sets in the west, its influence is stronger in the south towards the equator, and its influence is less strong north towards the pole. So, this is again from a traditional perspective, which has a lot more to do with the northern hemisphere than anything. Because if you apply it to the southern hemisphere, the north and south poles correspondences would be switched. The influence of the equator, or the influence of the sun, is stronger north towards the equator and would be weaker south towards the south pole if you lived in the southern hemisphere. Not just that, but these different correspondences often have to do with the elements. So, east has to do with air, south has to do with fire, west has to do with water, and north has to do with earth. Personally, it makes sense with the elemental correspondences and in the course of the sun, but maybe personally, you have a different association with these elements and these directions. So, for example, west is traditionally associated with water, as I said before, but maybe towards a different direction, there's a huge body of water like the ocean or a sea. And so, to you in your physical location, you might associate a different direction like east or north with water. Not just that, but let's say that there's a huge landmass like a mountain in a different direction that isn't north, which I would associate with earth. Maybe a different direction is supposed to be associated with earth to you in your physical location in your practice. So now that you know that there's a tradition and there's also a personal correspondence, which one do you use? Generally speaking, I would say go with tradition first, but then as you practice, as you meditate, understand and adjust why your associations exist, how you personally associate with it. Because you might find that you have to evolve beyond the tradition to make sense of how these elements, how these correspondences have meaning towards you. That being said, the sun the sun's influence is the same regardless of where you are in the northern hemisphere, which is where a lot of traditional ceremonial magic is rooted. So I'm going to be speaking based off of that and my personal understanding of that. So, why would you acknowledge the four quarters? Essentially speaking, when you're doing this, you are acknowledging the physical land, like the place you are, but then you're also making yourself the center, like the crossroads. It is in that crossroads where you best effectively do this magic. So, for a lot of people, this would be something like the pentagram rituals. But in a lot of different First Nations cultures, there's this idea that you would acknowledge the four quarters, or even the four winds. There's just lots of different pre-colonial beliefs that discuss acknowledging the four cardinal directions. So I have said earlier that it's about making yourself the center. If you have your own personal idea regarding this, I would suggest that you apply that as well. But that is the thing that makes the most sense to me. So regarding facing a specific direction, I personally do it from an elemental correspondence. And the solar aspect of it is sort of the added bonus to it. But a lot of my practice has a lot to do with me interfacing with elements. So I like to face certain direction when I'm working with a certain element. So it is just important for you to understand why you would do this or why you would face a certain direction, whether that is logistically because it makes sense to you or because sometimes you're limited by your physical space. Like it doesn't make sense for you to face a certain direction in your physical room, just due to personal correspondence or due to like a layout. But if you're able to add it into your ceremony, it adds a whole other layer of understanding, and it just increases your likelihood of success. So that being said, generally I'm not restrictive when it comes to understanding belief. Like it's not to say that you won't find success if you don't face a certain direction, but doing it will help just increase your odds, and it will help get you into the right mindset, especially because you know what it means to you personally. So I hope that this helps you with your own practice and your own understanding. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.